You know that feeling when something is supposed to make you look powerful, but instead it makes you look ridiculous? That's the psychology behind why nobody is buying Tesla's Cybertruck. Because this was never just about a truck, it was about identity. And for a lot of people, the identity it sells now feels embarrassing. Back in 2019, the Cybertruck looked like the future had kicked down the garage door. Elon Musk rolled out this stainless steel wedge and basically told the world, this isn't just a pickup. This is the truck that survives the apocalypse. And people lost their minds. Over 1 million reservations came in. For a while, it felt like Tesla had done it again. Another impossible product, another cultural takeover, another machine people didn't just want to drive, but wanted to be seen driving. But here's what Tesla may be misunderstood. People don't buy expensive things just because they're different. They buy them because of how those things make them feel. Smart, safe, respected, ahead of the curve. And the second the Cybertruck stopped feeling futuristic and started feeling socially radioactive, the spell broke. That's the real story here. The psychology behind why people aren't buying the Cybertruck has less to do with batteries and towing numbers and more to do with one brutal question every buyer asks deep down. How is this thing going to make me look? Because let's be honest, nobody wants to spend luxury car money just to become the weirdest guy in the Whole Foods parking lot. And the numbers, they tell the same story. Tesla sold about 38,965 Cybertrucks in 2024. In 2025, that dropped to 20,237. That's a 48% collapse in 1 year. Meanwhile, reports said more than 10,000 Cybertrucks were sitting unsold in inventory, with some estimates saying Tesla was sitting on nearly 2 quarters worth of stock. That's not off-the-charts demand. That's something feels off demand. And when buyers sense that something feels off, psychology takes over fast. Because people don't just buy products, they buy social safety. They buy the feeling that they made a good decision. They buy the ability to show up somewhere and not have to explain themselves. And the Cybertruck? This thing practically demands an explanation. Every time you drive it, park it, or let your neighbor see it, it asks the world to have an opinion. That works when the opinion is admiration. It's a disaster when the opinion is, what on earth were you thinking? And that's the first big reason this truck struggles. It creates emotional friction before you even sit in it. Regular cars blend into your life. The Cybertruck hijacks it. It turns every grocery run into a public performance. Some owners have said people cheer. Others say they get flipped off, insulted, or harassed. One owner described strangers screaming that the truck was ugly. Another said clients probably didn't want a vehicle that controversial showing up as part of their experience. Think about that. Imagine paying a fortune for a vehicle, then feeling like you have to manage other people's emotions every time you drive it. That's exhausting. And people do not spend $80, $90, or $100,000 to feel exhausted. They spend that kind of money to feel elevated. But the Cybertruck has a weird emotional problem. It doesn't make you feel elevated, it makes you feel exposed. Then there's the trust issue, because even people who loved the idea of the Cybertruck were really buying a promise. They were buying the fantasy, the affordable apocalypse truck, the impossible machine, the beast that would embarrass every other pickup on the road. But when it actually arrived, that fantasy got hit with reality. The launch price started around $60,990, not the old sub-$40,000 promise people remembered. Reservation hype didn't turn into real purchases either. By early 2025, Tesla had delivered a little over 46,000 Cybertrucks since launch, which put that much-hyped reservation wave at a conversion rate of under 5%.
And broken promises don't just hurt sales, they create resentment. That matters because buying a vehicle is emotional. It's not like buying toothpaste. People imagine road trips in it. They picture their family in it. They tell themselves a story about what kind of person they'll become once they own it. So when the dream starts feeling smaller, pricier, messier, or less practical than the ad in your head, the disappointment hits hard. That's why the Cybertruck feels less like a product problem and more like a heartbreak problem. The next issue is even simpler. fear of regret. The Cybertruck looks like a flex, but it carries a ton of downside anxiety. Recalls, quality headlines, repair worries, insurance worries. In March 2025 alone, Tesla recalled more than 46,000 Cybertrucks because an exterior panel could detach and become a road hazard. By then, the truck had already racked up a long list of recalls. And if you're an ordinary buyer watching that from the outside, you're not thinking, wow, cutting-edge innovation. You're thinking, I do not want to be stuck with that thing. Then pile on repair fear. Edmunds said its damaged Cybertruck ended with a repair bill of nearly $58,000 before the vehicle was ultimately treated as a total loss. Other reporting pointed out how the stainless steel body could make repairs more difficult, slower, and more expensive. That's not just a mechanic problem, that's a psychological red flag. Because when people see stories like that, they don't picture ownership, they picture disaster. And once a product becomes associated with future headaches, mainstream buyers disappear fast. But maybe the deepest reason nobody's buying the Cybertruck is this: it fails the emotional job of a truck. Pickup trucks are not just transportation, they're symbols: strength, reliability, self-sufficiency, work, protection. The BBC quoted experts saying trucks symbolize rugged individualism, self-sufficiency, and a do-it-yourself attitude. That image matters. A truck buyer wants to feel capable, grounded, useful, like the vehicle is ready for real life, not just ready for Instagram. The Cybertruck doesn't really sell that feeling. It sells theater. And theater is fun right up until real life shows up. Because when people think truck, they think helping a friend move, pulling up to a job site, tossing stuff in the bed, snow, mud, camping, family chaos, long days, hard edges, real utility. But the Cybertruck feels like a concept car that accidentally got promoted to adulthood. It doesn't feel like something that grew out of people's lives. It feels like something dropped onto them from the internet. That disconnect matters more than Tesla fans want to admit, because most buyers don't want a truck that says, "Look at me." They want a truck that says, "I've got this." And right now, the Cybertruck says, "Please have a strong opinion about me." Now add the Elon Musk factor, and this gets even messier. Reuters reported Tesla's brand consideration score fell to 31% in early 2024 from a high of 70% in late 2021, and 83% of Americans connected Musk directly with Tesla. That means for a lot of buyers, the Cybertruck isn't just a vehicle anymore. It's a rolling opinion, a political vibe, a statement they may not even want to make. And that is poison for mainstream demand. Because the average person doesn't want their car to start arguments on their behalf. They don't want to be decoded at red lights. They don't want strangers projecting all kinds of baggage onto them because of what's in their driveway.
A normal car says, "This is what I drive." The Cybertruck says, "This is who I am." And that is way too much pressure for a vehicle, especially one this expensive. Meanwhile, regular buyers still have regular problems. Price matters, peace of mind matters, familiarity matters. Even the broader electric pickup market has struggled because these trucks are expensive, battery-heavy, and often aimed at luxury buyers instead of normal working people. So if the whole category already has an uphill battle, the one truck asking you to also embrace controversy, risk, and public attention was always going to hit a wall first. So no, the psychology behind why nobody is buying Tesla's Cybertruck is not just that it looks weird. Is that it asks too much from people emotionally. It asks you to trust big promises after too many disappointments. It asks you to pay a premium for uncertainty. It asks you to wear controversy like a jacket. It asks you to become a character in somebody else's argument. And most people, deep down, don't want their vehicle to be a fight. They want relief. They want confidence. They want to get in, drive off, and feel good about the money they just spent. That's why the Cybertruck is struggling. Not because people hate bold ideas. People love bold ideas. But only when bold still feels safe. Only when different still feels smart.
only when the future still feels like something you'd actually want parked outside your house. And right now, for a lot of buyers, the Cybertruck doesn't feel like the future. It feels like regret with sharp edges. What do you think? Is the Cybertruck a misunderstood masterpiece, or is it the perfect example of what happens when internet hype collides with real human psychology? And if you made it this far, you clearly enjoy watching stainless steel therapy sessions. So hit subscribe and let's do this again.